What's up, Silver and Black Nation? Let's dive into a topic that absolutely rocked the NFL world this week and has some real implications for the Las Vegas Raiders, whether you're just waking up to the news or you've been following it all. Night, the trade involving George Pickens hit like a thunderclap, and the ripple effect of that deal is already being felt across the league and especially in Vegas. There are two very specific ways this could impact the Raiders, and I'm going to break that down for you in a bit. Plus, the Raiders didn't just sit back and watch. They made a move. And I'll tell you exactly what it was. And before we wrap this up today, I've got a serious update on Christian Wilkins. Something you're not going to want to miss. Because it might be the most important piece of information floating around out there today when it comes to Raider Nation. Now, let me be real for a second. I hate falling behind. And when I saw the Cowboys and Steelers striking a deal that stole the headlines, it made me pause and ask myself, where do the Raiders stand right now compared to these two teams? It hurts to admit it, but this month, in terms of momentum, buzz, and yes, even in terms of subscribers, the Silver and Black are trailing. That doesn't sit right with me. Growing up in Pennsylvania, I never had love for the Steelers. That was never my team. And the Cowboys, don't even get me started. The rivalry, the attitude, the aura, I've always been against them. So yeah, seeing our team fall behind both of those franchises, it stings. Raider Nation, this is the time to rally. Let's not just compete on the field. Let's compete everywhere. Let's talk about this Pickens deal. When I woke up and saw that trade went down, my jaw dropped. Actually, it almost happened the night before, somewhere between midnight and 1 in the morning. You could feel it in the air. The deal went like this. Pittsburgh sent George Pickens and a 6th-round pick in the 2027 draft to Dallas. In return, they got a 3rd-rounder and a 5th-rounder spread out across 2026 and 2027. At face value, some folks might call this even. Others might argue Dallas won by grabbing a dynamic wideout. But personally, I see it as a win for Pittsburgh. Getting a 3rd-round pick for a player like Pickens, that's a strong return, especially when you consider the context. Pickens is talented, no doubt, but he brings with him a personality that can be tough to manage. When I first saw the news, 2 things immediately came to mind. First, with Pickens now out of Pittsburgh, that leaves a gap in their wide receiver room. And you know what teams do when they have a gap? They start making calls. My gut told me right then and there, could the Steelers be eyeing Jacoby Myers? This isn't coming out of thin air. A few months ago, someone close to that organization mentioned that it wouldn't be shocking to see Pittsburgh poke around and ask about Myers. It didn't happen back then, but the interest might still be alive. I know. They ended up making a big swing and bringing in DK Metcalf. But that doesn't erase the fact that Myers fits their mold. He's physical, he's smart, and he doesn't need to be the number 1 guy to thrive. You line him up alongside someone like Robert Woods, and you've got a combo that fits that gritty, grinded-out style Pittsburgh loves. Now maybe they've got other names on the list. Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, who knows? But if I'm running the Raiders, I'll be on high alert. Not just wondering if the Steelers might call, but seriously thinking about whether we even answer if they do. That brings me to another point. If Pickens ends up getting a big contract from Dallas, and with the way they handle receivers, that's not out of the question. That could drive up the asking price for someone like Myers. And let's be honest here, this is exactly the kind of situation where market value shifts fast. Just like the Raiders needed to lock up Max Crosby before Myles Garrett reset the pass rusher market, they may need to move quick with Myers too. Because once a comparable player signs for big money, suddenly everyone wants a little more. It's a domino effect. And this entire situation puts pressure on the Raiders front office in a big way. We're not just talking about keeping key pieces. We're talking about doing it before the rest of the league forces your hand. Reports suggest that Myers isn't actively chasing a new deal yet. Word is, he wants to show what he can do as a lead receiver before testing free agency again next year. But come on, we all know that if the Raiders came to the table with a solid offer, he'd be listening. That's why it's smart to strike now. Cut off the speculation, silence the trade rumors, give your guy some security, and get it done before the circus starts. If I were running the show, I'd offer a 2-year extension right now. Something that lines up with the current window we're in and keeps him happy. Fully guaranteed money, maybe even a 3-year structure with the first 2 years locked in. Make it clean. Make it clear. Because when you got someone as reliable, And underappreciated as Myers, you don't let him twist in the wind. Sure, he's not the flashiest name out there, but look at the numbers, look at the consistency, look at what he brings every single down. Guys like that make teams better, period. Right now, Myers is making decent money compared to other receivers, but that won't last. If you fast forward a year or two, that same contract could end up looking like a bargain. That's the nature of the league. Deals age, values shift, and what seems expensive today could be a steal tomorrow. That's why locking him in now could actually save money in the long run. And here's something else. There's chatter about another guy in the team wanting an extension too. You can probably guess who I'm talking about. Kolton Miller. And this is where things get really interesting. Do the Raiders prioritize Miller over Myers? Do they try to get both done before minicamp? Because that's the deadline they're working with. Veterans are due to report by the 10th of June. Rookies are showing up as early as the 9th of May. Time is moving, and this front office needs to move with it. If it were up to me, I'd say Colt and Miller gets done first. The organization has always shown love to the big man up front. And based on what I've seen, even from a distance, Miller looks locked in, happy, and ready to go. That's a great sign, but still it needs to get done. There's enough cap room to handle both extensions. No need to play games. Both of these players, Myers and Miller, are vital for this team. Not just for this year, but for the years to come 2026, 2027, even 2028. You want to win? You keep your core. It's that simple. Now let's shift gears for a second and talk about something that's been on everyone's radar. Christian Wilkins and the injury rumors floating around. Let me clear the air right now. I've been talking to people close to the team, and here's what I've gathered. There's been talk, a lot of it, about Wilkins dealing with a lingering foot issue. You may remember he got hurt during week 5 last season. That injury kept him sidelined for the rest of the year. And yes, he has surgery, a Jones fracture in his left foot, done on the 8th of October last year. Those are tricky injuries, especially for a guy of his size. But everything I've been told says he's on track to be ready for week 1 of this season. He's been training hard this offseason. No setbacks. Nothing that raised red flags until a certain report surfaced. Now this report didn't come from someone currently with the organization. In fact, they're completely disconnected at this point. But still, they put it out there that Wilkins might miss some time early in the season, that he might need another procedure, that the team had concerns. It was a big claim. And then right around the draft, the Raiders went and picked up 2 new interior defensive linemen. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe it was insurance. Maybe they knew something. I wanted to be careful before talking about this because I take injuries seriously. I don't throw out rumors unless I've checked them against multiple sources. And here's the thing, I did. One player I spoke with said Wilkins looks fine. But then again, players don't always get the full picture. Coaches like to keep things close to the vest. I went deeper. I checked with someone inside the building. What they told me matched. What I've been hearing, he was in a boot last month, but they don't expect him to miss time. That's huge. He's not just some guy on the roster. He's one of the highest paid defensive tackles in the league. If something serious was going on, we'd know, or at least someone else would know. You telling me that only one mysterious source has access to that kind of information and no one else inside the Raiders organization has a clue? Come on. I'm not buying it, not yet. Not without something stronger. So yeah, Wilkins wore a walking boot last month. That's a fact. But every indication from people who would know, teammates, staff, folks around the team, is that he'll be good to go for the opener. That's what matters to me. Not speculation, not whispers. What matters is whether he's on the field in week 1. And right now, all signs point to yes. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a candid revelation that has sent ripples through the NFL community, star wide receiver Davante Adams admitted he regrets leaving the Las Vegas Raiders, a team he once hoped would bring him closer to personal and professional fulfillment. Known for his elite route running and consistent production on the field, Adams' confession comes as a surprise to many, especially after a turbulent season where both he and the Raiders struggled to find rhythm and consistency. After making the move from the Green Bay Packers to the Raiders in 2022, Adams initially expressed excitement about reuniting with his college teammate Derek Carr. The reunion was seen as a promising chapter in his already stellar career. However, things quickly began to unravel. Carr was benched and later released, and the team's playoff aspirations faded. Despite Adams continuing to post impressive numbers, the team's instability, coaching changes, and lack of long-term vision took a toll on him. Speaking in a recent interview, Adams admitted that in hindsight, the decision to leave the Packers, a perennial contender led by Aaron Rodgers, may have been more emotionally driven than strategic. At the time, it felt like the right move, Adams said. But looking back, I didn't fully consider the long-term implications. I missed the structure, the culture, and the competitive atmosphere we had in Green Bay. His remarks reignited discussions about player mobility, loyalty, and the complex choices athletes face when balancing career aspirations with personal connections. While Adams has remained professional and productive, his comments reflect the frustrations of a star player who may feel his prime years are being spent in a less than ideal situation. As the Raiders continue to rebuild and search for a stable quarterback solution, Adams' future with the franchise is uncertain. Trade rumors have already begun to swirl, and teams across the league are undoubtedly monitoring the situation closely. For now, though, Adams remains committed, if somewhat conflicted, about the path he chose. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.